I'm very, very, very happy to be here. So why I'm talking about this, I work in security world, and security world is kind of horrific. I used to work back in the day with Terracotta, like a long time ago, my Java days. Wasn't a builder then, I was in sales then. But I, over the years, transitioned to DevOps, and like now I'm in security. And it just bothers me that we're seeing this rise in what's been lately reasonably called identity-based attacks, where someone assumes an identity and goes in and does something that's unexpected. And we're seeing a lot of that right now. There's a ton of examples I could give. When I updated this, a few months ago, or I guess back in May when I gave it, I was talking about the human side of it. Like someone logs in as a human and does stuff. There's hopefully they have fixed this by now. And if you had a Motors theme that anybody could just go in and do a password reset on any of the users, including admins, and do whatever they want. And that's what we typically think of when we think of identity-based attacks. But more and more, we're seeing these crazy attacks that we're logging in as the machine and going to, that's how we're thinking of identity-based attacks now. And there's a lot more of those. Anybody here publish on NPM, out of curiosity? You following Shai Hulud right now? Shai Hulud Part 2? That is an identity-based attack in the weirdest way possible, because what it's actually going after, for those of you who don't know, Shai Hulud is a self-replicating worm that goes through and dumps credentials and then publishes those credentials. Why are they publishing credentials? So someone later can log in with those credentials to do an identity-based attack across, well, pretty much everybody in the world. It's kind of horrible. This is the world I work in a lot, the dumpster fire that is security. I was recently at an event where the person who was in charge of the OWASP top 10, any OWASP members in the house? Yay, go OWASP.
I know of it. I've read it.
Yeah, the OWASP top 10. Well, he published the first one 20 years ago. He got on stage in LastCon down in Texas last month and said, yeah, we haven't fixed anything. We moved things around, but we're still doing the exact same stuff day in, day out. I work in this stuff and I stay in the security space, and I've thought about quitting several times because to me, this is the goal of security. And I talk to a lot of people and they don't see it the same way. And so like my mission right now is to help people figure that this is what we're supposed to be doing. This is a family nowhere near a computer doing something they love together. That's where I would all love you to be. And if we get security even a little bit more right, I can't promise you you'll end up with a game of Monopoly that looks like that, but you'll at least not have to sit behind a computer during the middle of a triage, during the middle of an incident, say, oh my God, what do we do? Because, well, we run the script and it just magically fixed it because we did it the right way. Attackers are going to keep attacking. Can't stop that. Can we be resilient and immediately respond in a way that's sane and scalable? I think so. Anyway, I'm Dwayne. I'm from Chicago. So happy to be here. I see my entire mission in life is to help people figure stuff out. It's that simple. I got a podcast. I'd love you to listen to it, but I'm not here to sell you on that. Follow me on LinkedIn or don't. I don't care. Whatever you want to do. I'm on social medias out there. That's my email. I work for a company called Get Guardian. They'll pop up later in this talk several times. So I won't even bother telling you who we are right now. But again, I'll come back to that. Security boils down to stopping attackers. If it was just uptime, then that would be called SRE. Security is about the attackers getting in, and attackers really only want two things, and they're both disgusting. They want your machine resources. Anybody want to guess why they want your machine resources? Yay! And why do they want your data? Starts with an R, ends with an ransomware. Yeah, that's it. That's it. There's other reasons they want your data too, but that's the primary one. I've actually thoroughly convinced of the very cynical view that companies don't really care if your data gets leaked. They only care if they can't access the data to use it themselves. And that's what a ransomware is attack. They've locked you out of that data, or locked the company out of their own data. Not that it's going to get sold. Like, how many times you get a breach notice per week that you're involved in something? Like per week, just think about it. Yeah. Well, like I said, there's two kinds of identities that we worry about in the world. I'm not really here to talk about the human one. This is not an IAM talk. This is more a talk about the non-human side of it. non-human identities, I kind of really hate the term because it's like saying there's only two things in the whole world, a potato and not a potato. It's like humans and non-humans. Everything's a non-human. Everything in this room that's not a human is a non-human. Your clothes are non-human. But OWASP said that's what we're going to call it. So did Gartner. And it says it's a piece of production software. I don't know why I said production, but it's production software, but it's got secrets associated with it. I'll get back to what secrets are in a minute. What I really like, and what I'm talking about here later, is what's going on at the IETF right now, where we're working on this term workload. This is so simple. It's a running instance of software executing for a specific purpose. It's beautiful. It's so simple. In 2022, a company called CyberArk said it's about 45 to 1, according to their survey data. For every single person that logs into a thing and interacts with the system, there are 45 non-humans interacting with the system, machine identities. That's what that looks like. That's 45 to 1. The guesstimate right now is about 100 to 1 in most organizations. We're using survey data, so we really don't know. We do know it's like a lot more. But now we live in the world of agentic AI, where we have never deployed stuff faster. We've never built more complicated things. Somebody told me the other day that the SaaS ecosystem right now is 38,000 companies wide. 38,000 possible solutions you could tie together in some way. It's like near infinite number of ways you can build complex things. This is what I'm worried about more than like the user side. Basically, if you're, I'll get to it later, if you're dealing with human side security and you're not using multi-factor authentication everywhere, you aren't moving to WebAuthn, you aren't moving to passwordless and passkeys, rethink what you're doing, because there are solutions for that. For the non-humans, this is how we've done it for basically since the beginning of time. We kind of treated them like people at first and said, no, we're just going to give you a password. And that password evolved to an API key. And somewhere along the line, we got this conflagration of authentication and authorization are the same thing. And this pass key or this API key will let you do certain things. What has happened is we've chocked our code full of things that look like that. That's AWS key. It is a growing problem, not a shrinking problem. I know this because that's what my company partly does. We look at every new commit that hits GitHub public and everything that was private that becomes public. And we say, does this contain a secret? If it does, you've got an email from us and says, hey, you did this in public. Please don't do that. We put out a report every year about our findings, the State of Secret Sprawl report. So I got some prizes here. Just in the year 2024, were things that got updated on GitHub public. This is 1.4 billion commits, 65 million repos. How many secrets do you think got added to GitHub in public just last year? I need some hands because I can't. This is Price is Right style as well. 1 billion? That's a lot. 9 million? 500,000? 35 million? 9,000? Well, I'll just, so the person, I think you got it because you were close without going over. I'll throw this to you. Oh, watch out. Sorry. It's a card game I built. It's 23.77 million. Hard-coded credentials added just in the year 2024. Yeah, the reason to make a game out of that is because that's a horrifying number. This has increased 25% year over year. That's about the pace it's been increasing since we started studying this in 2018. We started putting out a report in 2020. We've gotten better at looking at this stuff, but
compared to the 69 million cubic repos, like what correct?
Sorry?
So if you compare the number you found to the number of the cubic repo you scanned.
Yeah, it's 4.61% of all repos that we scanned contained a secret. So not everybody's doing this, and this is just in public. Yeah, yeah. It's 1 in 15 commit authors does this now, so it's kind of everybody across the board. Oh, I was gonna. You already saw the thing. Okay, I'll do it another way. This is year-over-year growth. 50% of all commit authors. we send out emails. So why didn't we send out 23 million emails? Well, because the same people doing it, and we send them the same emails and they block us. Or how many people don't put real emails in their Git signatures? Nobody in this room, are y'all using real emails that you check? Please do that, because there are people like us in the world who are trying to send you emails, say, hey, heads up, you did this in public. So please look at those emails. Sure.
Why are you doing this? Shouldn't GitHub be doing this?
They are.
No, but I mean, shouldn't GitHub be searching for this, somehow have a mechanism built in so that
They do.
Oh, they do.
Oh, yeah. Who has ever gotten the push protection? You can't push to. How many of you hit the button, ignore that message, and shove it up there anyway? Yeah, exactly. No. You never have? All right. That is push protection, and it is great for the 93 specific strings it looks for. Out of the 38,000 SAS, multiply that times all of the internal systems. Contextually, how do you? We have a whole other talk about like contextual and high entropy strings. They're not looking for that. Or like, does it start with this thing? Does it start with this string? Does it? Anyway, you have a question? No. In public, this is not a sales pitch. I didn't even get into this. The reason we do this is, one, to be nice, but two, we have customers who are like, if you're a subcontractor leaks something publicly into a public repo, even though they didn't use your email address, we can do the triangulation and the identity stitching to tell you that is your data. That is your stuff. So that's what we sell. That's like the selling. But I'm here to sell you on that. This is like the free stuff we do for public good, because otherwise we can't do the other thing.
I just about the email address. I use the GitHub obfuscated one.
Okay. As long as you're checking it, like if it goes to you, that's good. Like this, it's got to be an email address you're checking, because you're getting alerts there. I mean, if we don't care what email it is, we will hit that email, and if it doesn't come back or it's not bot produced, if you dig into our documentation, there's like, we're not going to send it to fake emails. So, but anyway, this is like the public. This is an email that talks about people. This is like this is just the state of the world. Here, okay, so that 70% number. So we went back to 2022 data and said, we're going to take a subset of what we found to be valid. Yeah.
I was going to say, there was another security problem with giving the real email, because I end up getting a lot of spam.
Sure.
So I think using like the obfuscated email is a good idea.
I don't disagree. Whatever you're managing your spam with is cool. Just saying, there should be some kind of mechanism we can reach out and say, hey, you did this. Just don't be putting fake email addresses in there. It doesn't do anybody any good. That's my point. So we went back to a subset of the ones we found to be valid, because we validate everything we can. It's like right now it's like 350 types of secrets we can validate, make non-intrusive calls to the system and say, hey, does this work? We've tested a subset, and we found in 2022 and went back and said, hey, does this still work in beginning of 2025? 70% came back as valid. How many secrets did we test to get that number? Just anybody? This is for the other deck of cards. We're going to get, what's that? 100, not percent, like a number of total secrets we tested. 10,000? I'm just going to give it to you because it's 11,000. Watch out, 11,000. But yeah, we tested 11,000 secrets that were valid in 2022, and 70% came back as, yeah, this is still valid. It's still in public. Verizon puts us this awesome report every year. Verizon DBIR. Yep.
You said you tested the secrets because that they are still.
Yeah, we did the same validity check. Yep. They're still there. We know where they are. We indexed them. We went back and looked at them and said, hey, let's rerun the same tests. They're still there. They're still valid. Again, the state of secret sprawl report, download it through Tor. We don't care. We don't put up a paywall or anything. It's like not even an email. We just download the PDF. It goes into the great detail on how we do this. All right, Verizon puts out a report every year, the Verizon DBIR, and it is chock full of awesome stuff. But credential abuse is now the #1 way people are getting it. We started saying a while ago, like, the adversaries aren't breaking in anymore, they're logging in. And now, thanks to things like Shai Hulud and all the crazy stuff that's happening in the NPM world right now, we're going to see a lot more of that. Sales loft, those kind of breaches. Those aren't technical exploits. That's, hey, I dumped the credentials and now I can just get it. And if you don't rotate your passwords, they're going to keep doing it. They're still attacking. Verizon says after we know it is a leaked credential, it is plain text out there somewhere that someone could just use, it's 94 days on average to rotate. Why? Well, that goes back to our findings of that 70%. It's hard. This stuff is hard. Just real quick, because I'm gonna run out of time otherwise. This is like supposed to be like 10 minutes past this right now in these slides. I have 98 slides. People told us, and when we wrote, we did the survey, the state of secret, or the voice of practitioner survey, and they said, yeah, we think it's 27 days, like on average. Verizon says 94, and we're finding stuff from like 3 years ago that's like 70% are still valid. Yeah, we know that this is a hard problem. This is a very hard problem. So what do we do? Well, if you ask Google, this is still my favorite Google developer document of all time, just re-architect your app. It's that simple. Just change this credential and re-architect the app. Just that easy. All right. Reality though, what are some possible solutions here? I'm gonna go quick because I already said the first one. If there's humans, just friggin' put phishing resistant MFA in place. DB keys are a thing, use them. Authenticator, it's a pain in the ass, but it works. Pass keys, they work. Webflow authent, or a web authent, where you're logged into GitHub and you can log into other things. It works. It's a good solution. Eliminate credentials wherever possible. Move to IAM roles as fast as you can. Please move to something that does not require a long-lived credential. It is, I can get in because of who I am, where I am, and what I am. We'll talk more about that in the workload identity base at the bottom, but and rotate credentials much more often. That's impossible to do by hand, especially at scale. So that's where automation comes in. And that's where I'm gonna spend the next little chunk of this. Because if you don't do because the Google Doc is not wrong. It's 100% right. If all you do is slap in a new secret, you just reset the timer. Like how soon till that secret is gonna get exposed and used? How long until we're Uber, where a 19-year-old kid buys a super admin password on the dark web, it works, MFA floods the admin, eventually his thumb slips, he lets him in, then finds PowerShell scripts completely chock full of credentials for every system, where he goes through and like haunts HackerOne from within their own interface, floods their Slack completely full of memes, to the point where they think it's like some internal prankster. The next day after, like, the kid went to the New York Times and said, hey, I got all the screenshots. They put up 60 new job postings for security for some reason. Because this is a hard problem. Nobody wants this, but we keep doing it. We keep like, oh yeah, I'll fix it later. I'm prototyping the thing. I put the secret in there in plain text, but I don't have a good alternative system to that. This is going to be the heart of the talk. I should have been here 10 minutes ago, so I will go faster for certain parts of this. But I think we can get there, but we can't do it alone. It's going to take awareness raising across the board. Go back, talk to your DevOps teams. Go talk to your developers. Go talk to your security team. Go talk to your IAM people. Go talk to your exec team. Raise the awareness that, hey, this is going to kill us. This is going to kill us right now. We got to fix this right now. And then create some processes. You already have tools. I guarantee you already have tools to fix this somewhere in your house. Then go figure out where those tools are. And if you don't have the tools, buy some tools. Buying tools is the last thing I want you to do, literally. I want you to have the processes and have the conversations and train people on the tools you already have. This will make more sense as I go through, when I go through the process of this. But why you have to raise awareness is like with every other project you ever get done, if you don't have everybody on the same board playing the same game, you can't win. There's no way to progress forward. So the first question in that is like, who's actually responsible for fixing this? Is it you? Maybe. Is it the security team? Is your CISO? Maybe. Exec team? Ultimately, but your exec team is not going to fix anything. Let's be honest. They're your exec team. They fix other problems. Nothing bad on it. It's just they're a different set of concerns. What about the IAM person? Remember, I started this whole thing with this is identity-based break-ins. Isn't there a dedicated person in your company who deals with identity and access management? Maybe not, actually. Unless you're $5 billion in revenue or bigger, you don't have a dedicated IAM person. The scariest question to ask DevOps is who owns Active Directory? What does that even mean? What's ownership even mean there? But Who owns these non-human identities? Who owns these workload identities? Who owns this problem set? Who owns the risk? Well, if you get a breach, it's the CISO, because everyone ends up in court. Your exec team, ultimately, the dev that actually puts it in, probably not. They're already gone. DevOps team, maybe. Answer is everybody. This is more for security. Time I give this talk to security people, I still don't take it out because I love this. I love this slide. The risks you're thinking of are not the risks the rest of the company's thinking of. That's just true. From a security aspect, risks, we think of risks as threats times, risk times threats times, risk equals threats times is threat times exploitability times criticality. This is what security risk means to most security people. To business people, business risk is simply, we're going to make money, we're going to lose money. We're willing to take a little bit of risk if we're going to make a little money. Those are two separate definitions of risk, yet they're the same company. And if you don't care about this from the security spot, you're not going to do security well. If you don't care about this from the SRE perspective, you're not going to do SRE well. Why does the thing got to be up? Because you're serving customers. Everybody sees it a little bit different. How do you get on the same page where everybody's got their own definition? Because in the middle, we all care about being in the same company. We all care about keeping our jobs. At the end of the day, no matter how much AI we shove into the system, no matter how much we want to get away from human beings doing things, it is still human beings doing these jobs. Human beings are still human beings. We can go talk to them. Say, hey, I care about this. Can we get on the same page about this? And if you've never gone to talk to your security team proactively and said, hey, security, I want to do this thing. Can we talk about it? I highly encourage you. Like next time you're on a project, early on in the design phase, go grab security. They will be shocked, wonderfully delighted, and they won't know what to do with themselves. They want to be in the room with you. They really do. They want you to be safe, because the safer you are, the better they did their job. The earlier you get them involved, the earlier they can help you do your job. I'll get to security engineering a little bit later, but that's like the great hope I have of security and engineering, or security working with DevOps, security making the thing work is security engineering. Back on this one problem of secret security. I think the secret is getting everyone in your organization, that's all the stakeholders, on the same submarine. And I know what you're all thinking, what submarine? You didn't bring up a submarine at all yet. I didn't. My favorite book of all time for sales is You Can't Teach a Kid to Ride a Bike at a Seminar. And that's been very true today. I've gone to a couple of talks that have been amazing, but I walked out with like hundreds of lines of notes and like, I have so much research to do in this area. Wow, I didn't even know about that. Because I didn't come into the room to learn like deeply how to do a thing. This isn't a workshop. It is here's a bunch of ideas. Sandler talks about the submarine like this. And in that book, he introduces the idea of a Sandler submarine. And as through a sales process, you go through these steps and you close off the hatch behind you. All submarines made before 1973 worked the same general way. You could close off hatches to stop the thing from drowning, or stop the thing from sinking. They build them different these days, I've been told. But I think we can repurpose that same strategy of let's make a plan that looks like this. This is doable. This is achievable. I work with a lot of companies that do this on the regular. This is like the basic model that we work with. Not to sell you my company, because you can do this with a bunch of tools. You can do this open source. You can do this on your own with grep if you really, 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 really want to. And then building your own stuff. But we got to find all the secrets first. First thing you learn in threat modeling is if you don't know what you're protecting, you can't protect it. That's just the truth. So how do you find all of these secrets? How do you find your zombie secrets? How do you find the legacy stuff that's been in production for like 3 years that no one remembers is there? That's part of the why we think it's so hard to rotate, is because there's a lot of secrets that just exist somewhere. I was talking to buddy Alex earlier today, Web Methods. You know, Web Methods is still running. It's an IBM product now. You know how secure it is? I was talking to a hacker a few weeks ago. He did a whole presentation. Like, you can just shut it down. You hit the right endpoint. Most web servers, web method servers, you can just shut down. Nobody thought about that. It's like back in the day, like who's gonna hit this with a fuzzy, like a fuzzer? Nobody thought of that 20 years ago, but here we are. So hopefully, like everybody's keeping track of like all the secrets you got out there, right? You made a list of them somewhere, right? Like just on your desktop somewhere, waiting for an attacker to find passwords.txt or secrets.txt. The problem is there is no one source of truth on this. There just isn't. You have to build it. You have to go find a way to assemble this. This is not an easy task. There are tools that can help you do this. None of these are flawless. I have a personal favorite on this list, and we are very tuned to an enterprise use case, very specifically to an enterprise use case. They're open source, like Trufflehog. Open source. You can just modify it however you want. I started out talking about this entire problem set by talking about AWS Get Secrets. It's an awesome project. You can build from there. It's tuned exactly for AWS and AWS secrets, but you can stretch it out. It uses Get grep under the hood. But now you have a source of truth. That's the first goal. And I can talk to you in much depth, and I might do a whole talk about this problem set in and of itself and like how to find it in like high entropy strings versus contextual like usage and whatnot. But once you figure that out, like we're pretty sure we have a high degree of certainty. This is our actual list of secrets. What do you do with them? You properly store them. How many people use secret managers on the regular? Oh, the fact it's not every hand. Hopefully that means the rest of you aren't developers. I drew this picture. You can tell this is the height of my ability to make graphics. Secret managers let you store secrets encrypted at rest, and then over MTLS, you can pull them into the environment you need. Now, a good enterprise secret manager will also give you centralized reporting, visibility, and be easy enough for everybody to use. Those last two are really tricky, especially in the world, and this is not the talk to get into it, the world of vault sprawl, where it's like, which secret manager do I use? There's 30 inside the company. There's 15 instances of each. Which one do I supposed to use? If you don't have anything, start with one the cloud provides you. These are all great. I'm not going to say a bad word about any of them because they all work. They all do what I said on this slide. There are players. There's a free community version of HashiCorp Vault if you got nothing. If you're starting a prototype project, this is a little bit cumbersome to get set up and running. Just use environment variables, and you can easily move to this stuff, because how you move to this stuff is, instead of hard coding the secret, ignore the whole rest of it, you put a call to the path. Not new to anybody in this room. Your security people sometimes blows their minds that this is possible. Not even kidding. A lot of security people aren't coders. But we want to get to the point where there's no hard-coded secret. If I'm an attacker, if I'm looking at your code base that I got access to, like your code base's leak, and I see calls to a vault, a KV calls, I'm like, well, I got to figure out how to get into the vault. Versus, oh, that's the database connection URL. Let me see if I can get. Oh, I can just reach that. Great. They didn't touch their ingress, so I'm in their database, messing around. Not that I've ever done that. If you want to see a talk about how to re-architect your apps properly to do this, great talk from Kenton over at Viasat on blue-green deployments, because they update satellites. If you get an update wrong on a satellite, you kind of don't get another chance. So it's a really good talk about that at scale. The actual link to it's down in the show notes, so get the slides later. But then go attack what's important. New secrets are going to be the easiest thing to do this on. If you're building a new system, think about, like, how am I going to properly store the vault these secrets, and how am I going to properly rotate them? That comes along with vaulting. I'll talk about that in a minute. Then once you're like comfortable with the approach, then go like convert your entire production system. Then whatever mission critical, get those secrets out of there. Then go after legacy, and then find your zombies and kill them. Zombies are the APIs that are still running, that are still reachable, that still connect to data that you have no idea exist. They don't appear in logs because no one's hit them in 2 years. Someone will, but they haven't today. So how do we get y'all to use it? Because that's a long string, like figuring out paths and that stuff. Well, that's where I think security and you can get along real well. I understand that every developer in the world wants to go faster. Every DevOps team wants to move things faster. All security tools slow you down, false alerts, useless messages. You do not want these things. I get that. But there is this magical unicorn that I have met several times. So they're not mythical, they're just magical, called security engineers. And they hire a job inside of some big corporations. I met people that like focus on this like personally as well, but how do we build better tools that meet you where you are without giving you a new thing to worry about? I think the magical intersection of where security should meet development and DevOps is Git. Real simple. Git is a magical time travel device that gives us parallel universes. It also gives us a common framework on how to communicate across all of our systems. What's the one thing a Rust system has in same thing a Rust system has with a Python system with a PHP system? Version control. If that's not true, it's still 2004 and I don't know what happened. So what can you do? Well, why not write a Git hook that says, hey, go ahead and try to hard code that credential. We're going to stop the commit from happening if you go make a Git commit. So a pre-commit hook. Stop the commit. And then go look in the vault and say, hey, does this secret already exist? If it does, just give me the path back. If it doesn't, let's make up a path based on usage and shove it into the vault and then give me that path back. And then we'll swap that secret you were going to try to hard code with that call to the vault. And then on the back end, we'll rotate once you pushed your code. This works. I've seen this work. Is this 3 lines? No. This is a pretty lengthy, this is involved. Can you do this by yourself? Yeah, you could. Should your security team be helping you with this? Yeah, they should. Can they? I don't know. I don't know how much your security team can script. But this is a possibility. There's even an open source thing we did with CyberArk. If you want to go see a reference implementation, do not run this in production. This is brittle as hell. I ain't gonna lie to you, but the bones are there, like how to do this. And we've improved our side, and CyberArk's improved their side quite a bit since then. So there's other paths to doing what I just described. You can do this at the PR level too, because let's face it, devs going dev. Like they're gonna get around and ignore their Git hooks all they want. And yeah, you don't want to run 50,000 Git hooks per commit. I get it. But this is non-disruptive. This is not a blocker. This is okay, I'm in a hurry. Let me do it the wrong way, but then it becomes the right way. And the easy way becomes the safe way. That's my goal. That's the whole point of this. If you take nothing else, understand that this is possible. And then keep scanning for secrets because people are going to get around this stuff altogether. Fun fact, that same report I was talking about earlier, the State of Secrets for All report, 5.9% of all internal repos that we look at that use secret managers still leak secrets, still contain secrets. It's not a cure-all. It's not a silver bullet. Like GitHub's push protection. It's not a silver bullet. It doesn't solve everything. It's a step in the right direction. You still got to scan. You still got to like assume that people are going to hard code credentials. And then we get to the point, if we've done all these things and we put all these steps in place, then we can do the thing that actually protects us, which is rotate. Rotate at scale. Why not? Because human beings hate changing passwords. We hate it. Because we got to remember it. Machines don't care. It's like, here's your new string. Great. Do it every 5 minutes. Machine don't care. Do it every day. Machine don't care. Every month. Machine don't care. The attackers care if you do it every month because they have a whole like window of opportunity. They care a lot if it's a day because they can't work that fast. If every 5 minutes, impossible. Theoretically, I've seen proof of concept for 1.2 second from time from dump from a GitHub action task till execution, but that was a very specific convoluted scenario. They're not that fast. So what do we do? Well, you make a new secret, you swap in it, test it, swap it in for the old secret. Again, because you're not swapping in the code, all you're doing is swapping behind the scenes, and that vault call is going to be that vault call. That path to that secret stays the same in the code. You just swapped the back end. You just swapped it behind the scenes. You're like, hey, that sounds cool, but I'm not going to write that script. Good news, you don't have to. These already exist in mass. AWS led the charge. They did this years ago. If you're using AWS right now, this already exists. Like you can just go grab their lambdas. They already wrote the scripts for you for every single service they run. So did Google, so did Azure. If you're using the other systems like CyberArk or whatnot, they all have blog posts and guidance on this. If you're paying a service, go tap their engineers. There are people like me that work inside their company like, yeah, I would love to sit down with you and explain how this works. But there's another option. And this is my great hope for the future. And this is where I get kind of excited, because we are starting to admit that this is a terrible, terrible, terrible way to live. That this is killing us. This is literally killing us. And now we're in the world of agentic AI, where we can't repeat these same mistakes in the same ways. Like, we literally can't. So what do? Move to workload identity. Thank you. Workload identity, and I'm going to go quick here because there's way too much. This is a whole other talk. I'm literally writing a new version of another talk right now based on this. Who here has heard of Spiffy? I'm about to blow you all in mind. Spiffy, secure production identity framework for everyone. Here's the story. A little over 10 years ago, there was a company called Google who decided we can't use API keys. This is stupid. We're too big. It's too dangerous. So they moved to federated identities internally. At a meetup a couple years later, somebody from Netflix and somebody from not Deloitte, one of the other companies starts with the D, we're at a meetup. It's like, hey, that's a really cool idea. Why don't we do that, but open source it? So they called it Secure Production Identity Framework for Everyone, Spiffy. And they built a runtime environment, which is open source. You could just download and just use in production, like State Farm does, like Uber does now, like Hitachi does, like a bunch of big companies do now. Again, this is cloud native computing foundation, open source, like maintains this. But the basic idea is we can cryptographically prove a process is the process when it comes into existence. A workload is the workload. Like, it matches this digest, it matches all this, like we can prove it's that. So why not inject via API at runtime, like when it's born, here's your certificate of identity. It's like your driver's license. I am me. You get to a trust boundary, and that trust boundary says, okay, that looks real. Let me go check with the certificate authority. You federate the certificate authority, so if one goes bad, it goes bad, and then you dump everything. But when it comes back and says, yes, you're you, you exchange your identity for a workload token, a workload identity token, a WIT. That's an emerging thing that's getting hardened right now. That is a JOT that, or maybe it's a 509, that exists for 15 minutes-ish. It's only usable by this entity within this trust boundary, within this scoped period of time. Then you just allow list that thing to do certain things. So you go from, I have a hard-coded password that lets me do whatever I want once I'm in the system, to, I have an identity that I need to prove and able to get into the system upon call. And then there's only certain things I can do once I'm across that system. This isn't the future. This is the right now. This is what's going on around you. It was some pretty amazing stuff. There's a book on this. If you read nothing else because of my talk, spiffy.io/book. This is free. It's a 198-page PDF. It will blow your mind. It will change the way you think about workload identity. It will change the way you think about security, honestly. If you're like, I ain't got time for a 198-page book, there's a really good talk, 36-minute talk from Cloud Native Security Con 2024, the last one, unfortunately, that explains all of this with cute turtles that are not Disney properties. They specifically asked the AI not to use Disney property. There's no Disney properties whatsoever in that talk, because they specifically said. So, okay, you're like, okay, that's cloud native. Great. I'm not cloud native. I got multi-systems to worry about. Well, who knows what the IETF is? Internet Engineering Task Force. Yay, we should all raise our hands because we use the internet. They're the team that builds the internet and builds all the standards and maintains like TCP and Telnet still, and like all those standards that are the standards. There's a working group right now called Whimsy, and it's like related to Skit and a couple other weird named ones that are working on this problem set. But Whimsy stands out with workload identity in multi-system environments. They're like, cool, here's the limitations of where Spiffy stops working. Spiffy stops working once you move outside of your known trust boundaries. What if we could make all systems communicate across trust boundaries in the same standardized, scalable way? That's what Whimsy is. They just voted November 7th to ratify the last draft. So you can go like follow the message strings, dig into what it's currently doing. In 3 to 5 years, it will be absurd to think you're still giving stuff API keys that live forever. That won't be a thing anymore. I'm thoroughly convinced of this because we're able to wrap ingress and egress with things like Envoy and Istio and service mesh technologies to say, all right, all incoming traffic gets an identity, all outgoing traffic gets an identity. And then we can start using this, like, we'll trade the identity for a workload path. If anybody's like, wait a minute, that sounds really familiar. We traded an identity for a workload token. Yeah, it's called OAuth. We've been doing this for years. It works. Now we're applying it to machines like at scale. And we're like, okay, that still sounds futuristic and like we're down the road. Who uses Kubernetes? Who knows that this has been there since 1.3.3, that you can just use federated identities to do image pulls? Yeah, since May, you've been able to do everything I've been talking about for image pulls. And they're expanding it out to the whole rest of the ecosystem right now. I was just at KubeCon a few weeks ago, and it is exciting days on the identity side. Like watching Nested Spire like take root and like just some really cool stuff. But this is already here. And it's been here for all the platforms too, but it just didn't get the fanfare. This isn't sexy. Nobody in a boardroom ever is going to stand up and applaud you for like, you're moving to workload identity, yay. No, they have no idea what this is. Like most of you in this room had no idea what this is. You work in this stuff. It's already here though. No matter what system, whatever platform you're on, this is available. The docs are there. The teams are ready to help you. There are companies that specialize in specifically that transformation of going from, I found my secrets, I moved into a vault, now I'm going to like auto rotate. What if we just changed that auto rotation, just swapped it on the back end for federated identity management? CyberArk's building that right now. Teleport builds that right now. Like, how do you go from static secrets to just-in-time federated identity workload identity tokens? These exist. Not here to sell you one or the other. I was just in an event with CyberArk, so I'm very excited about theirs. But we really honestly can't get there until we get a hold of the problem that we have right now, which is our secrets are everywhere. They're long-lived. We have no idea how bad the problem is internally. We got to get that index, that one true inventory of this is what we got. Let's tackle that. If you go back to your teams and have no other conversations like, how are we handling secret management and what's our goals with moving away from long-lived secrets? And if your company honestly has no idea what you're talking about, there are a lot of other companies. Just saying, because we're here. This isn't even soon. This is the now. The thing that has driven the conversation around Spiffy, Spire, workload identity, and there's a whole other talk I'm literally writing right now, is agentic AI. Because who lived from stop treating them like pets, we got to treat them like cattle. Yeah, DevOps. We had machines that we put masking tape on the front to know that was that machine, to infrastructure as code. And now we deploy en masse, and now you have a process ID somewhere, and that's the name of that thing. What do you do when it's sick? You kill it and redeploy. It's cattle. But now we started giving the cattle human names and identities. Who's ever heard of Claude? Yeah, that's a process running on a piece of silicon. Wait a minute, a process running on a chip. We know what that is. That's a workload. It's a running piece of software executing for a specific purpose. But it feels weird to treat it the same way that we treated everything else previously, right? Wait a minute, what if we treated it like a human? What if we gave it OAuth? Holy crap, there's been a group of people working on this for the past decade. It's already here, it's already hardened. It's called Spiffy Spire. Whimsy's on its way here. It's in the cloud native stuff already, and there are companies already building it. And if we embrace it and get that like 5 hours, that's from the book, the Spiffy book, it's about 5 hours of mental load you have as a developer, per developer, of permissions and authentication and authorization. What if we gave you that 5 hours back a week to go back to your family? And then know that no matter what the attackers do, they are not going to be able to find that key from 6 months ago. So security doesn't call you, is like, Why didn't you rotate this credential? Like, I didn't even know. This is all I want. This is all I want. I want people to play Monopoly. Parker Brothers are not paying me. They should. Pump their product enough. Anyway, I'm Dwayne. I come from Chicago. I have a terrible cold right now. So if I'm a little incoherent feeling, that's why. Not just I'm this incoherent all the time. Follow me on LinkedIn or the other socials. If you want to talk about rock and roll, I love rock and roll. I do karaoke with you tonight, but again, I'm being propped up by Dayquil right now. If you follow that QR code, it goes to blog.getguardian.com where I write a bunch of stuff. I've published 53 times this year already. So I got like 4 more posts to go before the end of the year. We help people with this stuff on the discovery side and the governance models around. Once you have everything in multiple vaults, we can all tie it together in one big inventory. And with that, thank you very much, Dev Montreal. It's been an amazing year.